We've praised women a lot. Their virtues, their charm, their loyalty, their beauty, their ability to raise children, support their husbands, manage the home, and succeed in their careers. But today, let's flip the script. Let's talk about the other side. The 7 types of women who can ruin a man's life if he chooses wrong. These women don't always come with red flags. Sometimes they come with red lipstick and a smile that hides everything you'll regret. This isn't about blaming women, it's about protecting men so that you don't end up in a relationship that drains your spirit, weakens your drive, and makes you a version of yourself you barely recognize. This series is for every man who needs to wake up before it's too late. Let's start with the first type. The woman who plays with feelings. The one who never belonged to you but made you believe she did. Type 1, the traitor wrapped in charm. The one who doesn't destroy you with anger, but with a smile. There's one type of woman men fall for the easiest and pay the highest price for. She doesn't scream, she isn't rude, she's not loud or confrontational like you'd expect a relationship wrecker to be. On the contrary, she's gentle, feminine, sweet, and irresistibly charming. She knows how to look at you in a way that makes you feel powerful. She says she loves you and you believe, this time I've found the one. She doesn't have to try, she just makes you feel safe, so safe you lower your guard. But here's the truth. No one tells you. A woman who's emotionally careless never brings lasting happiness to a man. You can't build a house on sand, and you can't build a life with someone whose past, present, and future are all tangled in vague relationships and blurred lines. You know the type I'm talking about? There's always that male best friend you're not allowed to be jealous of. Old flings. She never fully cut ties with guys texting "I miss you," who according to her are just depressed and need support. She doesn't betray you with obvious actions. She betrays you with 1,000 little excuses. Just enough to keep you from confronting her directly, but never enough to stop the constant anxiety in your gut. Why is this dangerous? Because it kills you through slow, silent doubt. You avoid checking her phone, because deep down, you know what you'll find. You don't ask, "Who are you going out with?" because you're afraid it's someone familiar. You don't say "I don't like this" because you fear being labeled controlling, toxic, insecure. So you go silent, you act mature, you endure. Until one day you can't tell the difference between love and low self-worth anymore. A friend of mine, 35 years old, tech CEO, good-looking, financially stable. He dated a super sweet girl for 2 years and slowly he lost his confidence. She often canceled dates to catch up with old classmates, hung out late with a coworker who just got dumped, and once crashed at a male friend's place after a party because she was too drunk. He never caught her red-handed, but he never slept peacefully either. And the worst part wasn't that she betrayed him. It was that he betrayed his own gut instinct just to hold on to someone who never held on to him. Red flags of this type. A messy past, but you're not allowed to ask about it. Exes, male coworkers, and just friends keep popping up. She flirts freely, and when you react, you're told you lack trust. Familiar lines include, "He's just a friend. Why are you being so jealous? Nobody's that possessive anymore. It's 2025. Loyalty isn't automatic. It's a choice shown through actions, not words." If the woman you love constantly makes you wonder, am I being cheated on, then the answer is almost always yes. A mature man doesn't fear her past, but he will walk away if there are no clear boundaries in the present. You can't love someone who keeps your mind in chaos. Love the right woman and you'll feel peace. Love the wrong one and you'll live in confusion and call it love. Remember, she may share your bed, but if her heart and mind are on someone else's screen, then you're not with a partner. You're living in an illusion. Type 2. The modern gold digger. When love turns you into a walking ATM. She doesn't need to shout to take control. She doesn't monitor your every word. She only needs one thing, your money. And the problem isn't that she likes gifts, good food, or a comfortable life everyone does. The issue is she contributes nothing yet acts as if she deserves to be cared for like a queen simply because she's your girlfriend. This isn't love, it's a one-way transaction. You pay for dinner. She orders the most expensive thing. You just got paid. She sends you a link to a pair of shoes on sale. You give her a thoughtful gift. She checks the price and stays silent. And if one day you say, "This month's a bit tight," she replies, "Then let me handle things, I don't want to be a burden." Sounds noble, but the next day she unfollows you coldly. Not because she's hurt, but because her ATM has just been temporarily disabled. The more you love her, the poorer you get. She doesn't lift a finger, not because she can't, but because she believes housework, taking care of family, or even cooking a meal are beneath her. To her, a modern woman should focus on beauty chilling posting on Instagram, And most importantly, having a boyfriend to fund the lifestyle. A real man would never let his woman go without. Sounds romantic. Until you're the one paying for her rent, food, ride shares, skincare, birthday gifts for her friends. And when you finally say, "We need to save," she looks at you like you're a failure. I once heard a story from a man in Los Angeles. He's an engineer, well-paid, calm, loving. She's a freelance lifestyle content creator, which roughly translates to cafe selfies and waiting for brand deals. For a whole year of dating, he paid for everything: her apartment, meals, weekend getaways, even the pet she adopted on a whim. The problem wasn't the money. It was that she saw it as standard. She never said thank you, never offered to split. And the one time he gently suggested she consider a more stable job, she said, "I only live like this because of you. I was so independent before I met you." 3 months later, when he broke up with her, she posted a story calling him a stingy man who doesn't know how to take care of a woman. Truth is, he did know how to take care of someone. He was just tired of supporting someone who wouldn't even support herself. Signs of a modern gold digger. Contributes nothing financially but spends like she's living off dividends. If you love me, don't be cheap with me. Other guys pay for everything for their girls. Are you even a man if you count every penny? Never says thank you, only demands more. Ashamed of physical labor, but proudly swipes your card for luxury brands. Constantly compares you to her friend's boyfriend. He gave her Gucci, you gave me a book. A healthy relationship is always a two-way exchange. If you're the only one giving money, time, energy, emotional bandwidth, that's not love. That's emotional and financial exploitation. Unfortunately, women like this are no longer rare, and thanks to social media glorifying the high-maintenance lifestyle. Many girls now believe that if they're pretty enough and post from enough angles, some rich guy will show up and sponsor their life. But if you're a man working hard every day, you deserve a woman who values what you give. You don't need to carry the world. You just need someone who will carry a part of it with you. Love is not bribery. If you have to spend money to make her stay, she was never really there. A woman who loves you will want to build something with you. She doesn't have to be a CEO. She just needs to be a teammate. Not a grown child in a woman's body. Don't be afraid to leave a beautiful but useless woman. Her looks will fade, but the empty bank account she leaves behind, that pain sticks around. Type 3, the feminist dictator. When I do this for your own good becomes a curse. She's successful, she's smart, she's independent. And that's great until you realize you're no longer allowed to make decisions in your own relationship. There's no shouting, no jealousy, no arguments. Just manipulation, carefully wrapped in what sound like thoughtful suggestions. I think you should change jobs. I've already booked the tickets for both of us. You don't need to think about it. Let me handle the finances. You just focus on what makes you happy. Sounds caring, right? But underneath it all, it's covert control. Power doesn't need to be seized, only unopposed. At first you step back just a little, choosing a restaurant, planning weekends, deciding whose friends you hang out with. Then gradually, you stop buying anything without checking with her first. You stop saying, "I don't like this." You're no longer leading, you're just following orders. And everything gets framed in a single message. You should feel lucky to have me. And if you push back, you're labeled fragile, controlling, or unable to share power with a strong woman. A man working in finance in Singapore shared this. His wife was a high-level executive, brilliant, made twice his income. At first he admired her, he was proud. But over time, every decision, buying a car, investing, choosing a school for their kids, was made entirely by her. He wasn't asked, he was just informed. One time he said, "I think we should think more carefully before investing in that apartment." She replied, "Well, who's paying for it? If it's me, I get to decide." He went silent. Not because he agreed, but because he realized his opinion no longer held any weight. Signs you're dating a feminist dictator. She removes your power to choose, then calls it relieving your burden. She ignores your personal opinions, especially on major matters. She constantly emphasizes her importance. Without me, you'd be nowhere. She uses her achievement, status, or money to make you feel small. She makes decisions independently, then calls them our decision. It's a terrible feeling when you're no longer yourself in a relationship. Not because she insults you, not because she yells, but because she quietly took your autonomy without ever asking. She never says, "You must listen to me." She just does things before you even get a chance to speak. And the bitterest truth. You're in a relationship that looks equal, but you feel like an employee living with your boss. A strong woman isn't scary, but a woman who disrespects you simply because you earn less than her, that's terrifying. A real relationship is where both people are heard, seen, and building something together. If your only role is to obey, then that's not love. That's an unspoken contract where you are the weaker party. Independence is not dictatorship. There are women who are independent and still kind. They succeed without stepping on your pride to prove their worth. They want to grow with you, not drag you behind them. They listen, they balance. They understand that men too deserve a voice, a space to show leadership, not just play sidekick to their partner's bank account. 3 questions you must ask yourself. Are you allowed to say no in this relationship? Do you feel your opinion is truly heard? And most importantly, do you still feel like a man when you're with her? If all 3 answers are no, then this isn't love, you're being controlled. Don't confuse love with cleverly disguised dependence. Type 4, the chronic complainer when she doesn't want solutions, only an audience. You've probably heard this before. She doesn't want you to fix her problems, she just wants you to listen. Sounds noble, but beware, because when you become her emotional trash, can 24/7, you're not her lover, you're her mental dumpster. She doesn't want solutions, she just wants to keep complaining. About work, about friends, about her body, about you not being sensitive enough when she complains. Everything is terrible, everything is exhausting, she's always the victim and the world is always the villain. And if you dare offer a solution, you don't understand me, you're always so logical, why can't I just vent without being judged? You're exhausted but too scared to say it. You start avoiding long phone calls. Your energy dips whenever she texts, "We need to talk," because you already know the topic. A long list of the world's failures, her friends' betrayals, her own frustrations, and of course your shortcomings. But the scariest part, when you feel down, when you have a bad day, she still complains, she's still the center of the show. And if you say something, she shuts it down. Oh, don't be dramatic, everyone's tired. A real-life example, Lucas, a software engineer in Berlin, dated a woman who, if she had more self-control, could have made a great therapist. She wasn't a bad person, but every day was an emotional dump. A difficult boss, toxic coworkers, backstabbing friends, bad weather, tight clothes, life is hard. Lucas loved her, so he listened. But when his mother was hospitalized, she still spent 90% of their calls talking about a colleague who stole her idea in a meeting. And when he fell silent, she snapped. "You're so cold, you've changed." That's when he realized in this relationship his emotions had no space. Red flags of a chronic complainer. There's always something wrong, and it's always negative. She never looks for solutions, only wants you to nod and say, "Yes, you've suffered." Even when you're upset, she expects you to listen to her. Uses passive-aggressive guilt. "It's fine, I'm used to it, you're busy anyway." Turns you into a mirror for her misery, not a partner to walk through life with. This isn't empathy. This is emotional draining. You can understand, you can support, but you cannot heal a woman who doesn't want to heal, only complain. If every conversation leaves you feeling drained, emotionally low, disconnected from life, you're not in love, you're providing free therapy. Why do men fall into this trap? Because you think, "I have to be strong, she needs me." But strength isn't about silent endurance. True strength is about setting boundaries. Yes, women have the right to be upset, to feel pain. But if she treats dumping on you daily as her emotional right, you're not her partner. You're her emotional pressure valve. A healthy relationship is where both sides are heard and healed. If you're the only one carrying the emotional weight, something is wrong. Don't confuse kindness with obligation, and never love someone so much that you leave nothing for yourself. A mature woman will regulate her emotions before unloading on others. Respect your time and mental state, and ask, "How are you today?" instead of dragging you down her emotional spiral every time. Type 5. The freedom addict. When independence is just an excuse to avoid commitment. She's the modern woman, always busy, always chasing the next big thing, always on the move between projects, cities, conferences, and new adventures. She's not a bad person. In fact, she's the kind of woman who leaves a strong impression at first glance, smart, ambitious, crystal clear about what she wants, but there's something she never says outright, yet you'll feel it over time. She doesn't want to build a home with you. She wants you to come along, just don't slow her down. You're not her rock, you're a rest stop. Loving her feels like being in an emotional transit lounge. When things are good, she's glowing, affectionate, even romantic. When life gets stressful, you fade into the background. When a new opportunity arises, she might disappear without warning or leave you with one very modern line. "I'm trying to find myself, don't wait for me." She doesn't betray you, she abandons you, and sometimes that silence hurts more than cheating ever could. I knew a man, an entrepreneur from Vancouver, who fell in love with a freelance journalist. She wrote about travel and adventure. She was magnetic. One day she was writing in Lisbon, next interviewing artists in Tokyo, then sending selfies while meditating deep in the Amazon. Loving her felt like living inside a beautiful travel documentary. Then one day he asked, "What if you settled down a bit, we could build a life together?" She went silent, then sent one line, "I'm not that kind of woman." And that was it. No drama, no fight. Just him once thought to be her future, realizing he'd only ever been a layover between flights. Signs of a woman who's anti-home. She's always busy, but never for you. Her long-term plans never include you, just personal growth opportunities. She finds family, kids, or a stable life boring. Says things like, "I was born to live differently. Routine life isn't for me. I don't believe in traditional marriage." Whenever you bring up family, she changes the topic or says, "Let's talk about that later." Is this real freedom or fear of responsibility? There's nothing wrong with living freely. But if you love a woman who refuses to commit, settle, or build anything together, you need to face the truth. This isn't love, it's a limited-time companionship. The problem isn't her ambition. The problem is that you're investing long-term emotions into someone who only rents space in your life month by month. Modern women can fly far, but if she truly loves you, she'll want you flying with her. If everything and everyone else comes first but not you, then you're not a priority. You're just too nice to reject, but not important enough to keep. Don't evaluate commitment through words. Watch her actions. Check where you stand on her list of priorities. If you're always the last choice, then don't make her your first. A well-balanced woman will know she has dreams, but still recognize that relationships require emotional investment, just like a career. Understand that stability isn't a prison. It's a nurturing ground where two people can grow stronger together. Not ask you to hold her back, but want you right beside her. Ask yourself, does she make time for you? Are you part of her 5-year plan? Are you being asked to keep up with her pace or invited to walk beside her? If the answer's no, you're not her life partner. You're the pause button she presses between two thrill-seeking chapters. Type 6. The emotional assassin. When comparison becomes a silent weapon, she doesn't hit you, she doesn't insult you loudly. She doesn't scream on the street or post angry rants online. She just says one small sentence, seemingly harmless. "Why can't you be more like him?" But to a man, that's not a reminder. That's a velvet-covered bullet aimed straight at his self-worth. Comparison, the silent killer of love. You can tolerate many things in a relationship. A girlfriend who nags, one who gets moody, even a bit of high maintenance. But what's hard to love is someone who constantly makes you feel not enough. Not rich enough, not romantic enough, not successful enough. Not enough like her best friend's husband. She doesn't love you. She loves the ideal version of you that you've never been, and maybe never will be. A real story from real life. A friend of mine, Mark, a photographer in Chicago, was dating a woman he truly adored. He was hardworking, stable, and loved her deeply. But after every social gathering, she came home with a little less affection. "Why don't you buy me flowers like David Sam just booked Paris for his girlfriend? What about us?" "I'm not criticizing your salary, but do you ever plan on doing something big?" Mark didn't argue. He worked harder, took on more gigs, expanded his business. But every time he improved, the bar moved higher. This wasn't love with an end goal. It was a race with no finish line, because in her eyes, he'd always be behind someone else. Comparison doesn't motivate, it separates. You might think, she just wants me to grow. No. A woman who wants you to grow says, "I believe in you." But a woman who constantly makes you feel like you're never enough is manipulating you using someone else's scorecard. Comparison is like slow drip acid. It doesn't cut you open, it erodes you from within. No man wants to live his entire life playing the role of the silent loser. Signs you're being killed softly by comparison. She constantly praises other men, husbands, exes, influencers with admiration. No matter how hard you try, she always says, there's still something missing. You feel like you're competing with people who aren't even in your relationship. Her favorite phrase is, "If it were someone else, they'd have done it already." You should learn from what he does for his wife. I'm not asking for much, just like what normal couples do. Men don't need to be worshipped, they just need to be believed in. You don't need her to bow down. You just need a woman who doesn't make you feel ashamed of being yourself. You may not be the richest, the smartest, or the tallest, but if you're showing up every day doing your best, and she still says you're not enough, you don't need to change who you are. You need to change who you're with. Comparison doesn't push men forward, it drains them. A healthy relationship makes you want to grow because you're loved, not because you're under pressure to become someone else. If she only sees you through the lens of another man's life, she's not really seeing you. A woman with emotional intelligence will inspire you through belief, not stress. Compare you to who you were yesterday, not who her friend married. Understand that growth takes time, and what matters most is that he's growing with her, not against her. If she always makes you feel like you're falling short, that's not your partner. That's a performance manager in your personal life. Stop living like you're being graded every day. You deserve love, not constant evaluation. Type 7. The threat dealer when then just leave becomes a weapon, not a choice. She doesn't raise her voice, she doesn't throw things, she doesn't scream in public or expose your relationship online. She just says 5 simple words and suddenly your world freezes. If you can't take it, leave. At first you think it's just heat of the moment anger. The second time it starts to sting. By the third you stay silent. By the fourth you start to fear. Now every little disagreement becomes a negotiation with a knife at your throat. If you want me to stay, act right. Don't make me file the papers. You know how many men would love to replace you. Real love doesn't use leaving as a threat. When breakup or divorce becomes her go-to weapon, love has already mutated into emotional blackmail. You stop speaking your truth because you're scared to lose her. You stop disagreeing because you're scared of the D word. You stop being yourself because you're now held hostage by the constant threat of abandonment. A man in Melbourne told me that his wife used the phrase, "Let's just divorce," so often he could predict her tone, her facial expression, and even the exact moment she'd say it. Didn't buy her a new bag? Why am I even here? Let's just divorce. Forgot her mom's birthday. I can't live like this. Divorce. Came home late from work. Work matters more than me. Divorce. At first he apologized, then he stopped talking back. Eventually he started hoping she'd finally do it. Because nothing kills the soul more than a love where 5 words. Let's just call it off. Keep you on edge every time conflict arises. Signs you're living with a walking emotional landmine. She uses breakup or divorce as a way to control your behavior. Whenever you speak up, she responds. Then let's break up if you can't handle it. She doesn't really want to leave, she just wants you scared enough to obey. During every fight, you're the one backing down. Not because you're wrong, but because you're trying to save the relationship. This love makes you feel anxious, powerless, and smaller every day. This isn't love, it's psychological bleeding. Real love isn't always sweet, but it should always feel safe. If every time you speak up you're met with the threat of being left, you're not in a relationship. You're in emotional captivity. And remember, a person who throws leaving at you so easily never really intended to stay in the first place. If she uses "I'll leave" as leverage to win every argument, you're not in love, you're in a power struggle where your silence equals survival. No one can thrive while constantly fearing abandonment. Real love doesn't make you afraid of mistakes. It doesn't make you tiptoe around someone who keeps a metaphorical knife in their pocket. If you have to buy the survival of your relationship through endless compromise and self-erasure, you're not saving anyone. You're bleeding yourself dry. A mature woman will resolve conflict through communication, not intimidation. Understand that leaving is the last resort, not a cheap threat in every argument. Value commitment and never use it as a weapon. You love her, but do you feel like she wants you to stay? Are you building a life together? Or are you constantly dodging the emotional dagger of a woman who always has breakup loaded and ready? If your answer leaves a lump in your throat, then maybe it's time you asked yourself, do I want to live in love or live in fear of losing it? Final message. Be smart before you love, be decisive before you marry. Not every woman deserves to be kept. Not everyone who says "I love you" is building something real with you. Some just love themselves and you're just the vehicle. There are 7 types of women that don't just cost you money, energy, or time. They cost you your very sense of self. They don't use knives, they use sweet words, they don't yell. They quietly tear you apart from the inside out. You won't see the wounds. You'll just feel yourself shrinking, losing confidence, doubting your worth, and calling it love. A truly valuable woman will never make you doubt yourself, make you afraid of speaking your truth, make you feel like you have to become someone else just to be loved. Remember this, men are not destroyed by failure. They are destroyed by choosing the wrong woman. She may walk into your life like an angel, but if you're not awake, you'll walk away from that relationship with nothing left. Don't spend your life trapped in a silent, soul-killing contract called blind love. If you recognize even one of these 7 patterns in your current relationship, don't be afraid to walk away. You can always rebuild your life. Just don't build it on the ruins of yourself.